What's up, everybody? This is Dylan and Ryan here with episode 16? Yeah, 16 of Next on Deck. Sorry, we've missed, what, has it been 2 weeks now? A week? I don't know. No, we're losing track already. So we're back here with another episode. We're going to be talking a lot of NBA today. Going to be trash talking the Jazz a lot because, we've both had our disagreements with the Jazz. I don't know why I have my AirPods in. And then we're also going to be going to NBA trade deadline, seeing who's going to get dealed. And we're going to go over a lot of other stuff today. So stay tuned. But first off, we'll start with the NBA draft deadline. It is quickly approaching, and there are a lot of names that have been in the rumor mill of who's going to get traded. There are a lot of teams, like every year, on the verge of the playoffs or being, on the verge of being championship contenders. They'll for sure make moves at the deadlines. A lot of players could be traded. A lot of them have been rumored. We'll go through a decent amount of players, and we'll say what teams we think they're going to go to. But the first name I got on my list is Lonzo Ball. I don't really get this one. I'll be honest. I don't get why the Pelicans would want to trade him here. He's a very good young player, and I don't know. I feel like they might be in a tough situation though because of they're like on the cusp of the playoffs. They seem like they got a good roster. I don't know. Ryan, do you think they should trade Lonzo?
I don't see them getting anything out of Lonzo more than they're going to get with him keeping him.
Right.
I see him going to a team and being a really good sixth man, but that means they're not going to get much trade value out of him.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it'd be worth it for the Pelicans at all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he just doesn't have – I mean, I think this is, the best Lonzo we're going to get. I don't see him really getting any better than he already is. So I think the Pelicans would be kind of disappointed with the trade value they would get for him. But if they were to trade him, the couple teams I see him going to, I could see the Bulls, I could see the Clippers, and I could see the Knicks because, the New York media, and they got a ton of cap space, and they're always looking for exciting young players. So, Ryan, what teams do you see Lonzo going to?
I don't know. It's so hard for me to see him going anywhere else, but I agree. I think the Bulls would be a really good team for him to go to.
Yeah, and it's tough too because they got Kobe White and Zach LaVine, so you would think they would already have good enough guards, but they're still in the rumor, mill for Lonzo. But we'll see if he gets traded. I don't think he will be, but our next player we got is Andre Drummond. He is kind of one of the bigger names when it comes to the NBA trade deadline and rumors and all that jazz. So there are a lot of contending teams that I think need Andre Drummond, and I think the Nets are the obvious one in my opinion, especially because they traded their whole roster to get James Harden and their future. And obviously the Celtics, they always need a big man. That's been their biggest problem, since Kevin Garnett left. And the Bucks might be a sleeper here. I mean, they got Brook Lopez. He's a good shooter, but I mean, can't hurt to have one of the best rebounders in the game alongside Giannis. So I don't know. I don't understand the Cavs situation with Drummond anyway. I feel like they're kind of a contending team in a way, to be honest, because I think Colin Sexton has improved a lot this year and is really kind of carrying this Cavs team, but they just don't want Drummond, and I don't know what they're going to get for him. I can't imagine much.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if they get him to the right team, they could get a good bid out of him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be really team specific on who needs him. My top landing spot for Drummond would be the Mavs. I think he would be the key that they need. I feel like obviously they're a good team, but they're not a great team. They kind of rely on Luka to do everything.
Right.
If they had somebody like Drummond there to help them with rebounds and just be a big man, I think that would be a good piece for them.
Yeah, and Porzingis, he has been a kind of a big question this year. He has really regressed defensively. Offensively, he's still a great scorer, great player, but Drummond is way, way better in the paint. And, Porzingis just has not been the same around the rim. So I don't know because, he's another – he's actually next up on the list of names we're going to go over. But I don't know what the Mavs will do with him. I don't know if he would play alongside Drummond or, they would just trade Porzingis, then use a little bit what they got out of that trade to get Drummond. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Porzingis, he's just he baffles me. I don't know. But so, like I said, Porzingis is the next guy up. Like I said, still a young player, can run the floor offensively, can be a great option for a team that needs scoring. And I think one of those teams is the Nuggets. I don't know how he's going to fit in with Michael Porter Jr. and Jokic, but I think the Nuggets would be the top team to get Porzingis here.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see him go to the Nuggets. I think a good team would be the Jazz, just because obviously Gobert isn't very good on offense.
Right.
So if you could take his defense,
Yeah.
match with Porzingis' offense, I think it'd be a really strong duo.
Yeah, for sure. And Gobert is not an all-star, and in my opinion, and with him being your second best player, even though the Jazz, they aren't really struggling offensively this year, mainly because their three-point shooting has been lights out. The whole team, I think, is shooting like 40% or something like that, which is crazy. But I just don't see the Jazz being contenders, finals contenders, with Gobert being their second best player. So I think they do need to make a move here. They definitely have the depth to kind of, trade a little bit to get Porzingis. But I think another team that could kind of go for him is the Suns. The Suns, also another surprising team this year. They're in a good situation with the lineup they have, so I won't be surprised if they don't really change much. But I think Porzingis could make them finals contenders and, kind of contend with the Clippers, especially him and Ayton in the paint. That'd be kind of scary.
Yeah.
So we'll go to the next guy we got is Kyle Lowry. I feel like I don't know how I feel about this one. He's got a huge contract. The Raptors have kind of picked it up lately. They've definitely become more of an option in the playoff talk here. But the Sixers are definitely rumored to get him, as he is born and raised in Philly. So, and the Sixers have always been kind of in the mill to get him. So I guess the Sixers would probably be my top team, but I don't really see any other team going after him, to be honest.
I don't think he's something that anyone really needs per se at this time. So I don't know. I don't think a lot of teams are going to be pushing real hard to get him. I mean, I think the Sixers would benefit if they had him, but also it's like, I don't know that they need him either. I mean, it's like kind of if it works out kind of thing for me.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know how he's going to fit in with the Sixers because, I mean, obviously Ben's not a traditional point guard. So, and, Tobias is back to his natural position at power forward with Al Horford gone, which this season has really proved to be, his pathway to success. But I don't know why. I don't know how he would fit in. If Ben would play the 2 and Danny Green would play the 3, and then Seth would come off the bench. I'm not sure. I just don't think Kyle Lowry really fits into the Sixers scheme. So I think the Raptors will end up keeping him, especially, because, Raptors fans love him. And, with them trading DeRozan, I think they're still unhappy about that. So I think Lowry stays in Toronto, but you never know. We'll see. The next guy I got up is we've talked about him before. Our boy Bradley Beal. He says he's happy with the Wizards, but I don't think I believe him, to be honest. He has a crap ton of value. It is insane right now, considering that he leads the league in points. The Wizards could get a lot out of Bradley Beal, and I think they should take advantage of it now while, because his value can't get any higher than it is now. So, Ryan, what teams do you see Beal going to?
I mean, I think the Heat would be a good team to pick up Beal. I think they need that one more player. Obviously they were a good team last year. They have a little bit of changes this year, but I think he would help them kind of rebuild that where they were before. I think that's one of my top landing spots for him. I also see him not leaving. I mean, I feel like the Wizards I don't know what they're doing right now, playing some weird games between Beal and the Wizards. It's real confusing at this point. I don't know if maybe this just all kind of just show and they're just going to end up keeping him anyway, but I don't see how they would benefit from that. I feel like they would be better off kind of getting a lot of people over to rebuild from him.
Yeah, I think so too. Because like I don't think Beal and Westbrook together could lead that team to a championship, especially with like the East picking up. Like they just don't have the depth that other Eastern teams do. So I don't know. In my opinion, they should not keep Beal, but I've heard the Celtics being an option for Beal, and that kind of weirded me out a little bit. But I mean, it makes sense. That Celtics team would be pretty scary if they got Bradley Beal. But the problem with the Celtics is I feel like they don't have enough bench depth as it is to really trade for a guy like that. So I think they should focus more on the bench, especially because they already got a great starting core of Kemba, Brown, and Tatum. So I don't see the Celtics making a big push for Beal. But obviously you never know. So the next guy I got, former teammate of Bradley Beal, is John Wall. Now the Rockets have been kind of in denial lately. They say they don't want to rebuild, but I don't see why they wouldn't want to. They have one of the worst records in the NBA. John Wall, he's still a good player, but he's he's averaging 20 points a game. He's got like almost Mahomes money at this point. He's making 40 million a year. I just don't understand why the Rockets would want to keep him. I mean, I guess it's cuz they might not get as much out of him, but I mean, I think this Rockets should try to turn John Wall, and one of the teams I see him kind of going to is maybe the Knicks. I mean, they got a lot of cap space to obviously pay for Wall, and they are desperate for stars in New York. So I could see him going there. But Ryan, is there any other teams that you see making a push for him?
I think the Knicks would be the best option for him. I think right now he's worth as much as he is now as he's ever going to be. I mean, he's kind of like he's getting a little older. He's playing well, so he's kind of got good trade value there for that. And the Knicks kind of just, I mean, obviously rebuilds don't work for them. Stars don't work for them. They might as well get someone who looks good now to maybe pick up some money.
Yeah, true. Yeah, nothing. Like we said before, nothing ever works for the Knicks. But last guy we got is Wall's teammate now, Victor Oladipo. He's made it very clear that he does not want to stay with the Rockets, as they have tried to extend his contract multiple times. But again, I don't. I feel for Oladipo. I understand why he wouldn't want to stay in Houston. I wouldn't want to stay in Houston if I was in that situation. So I think it would make sense for the Rockets to try to trade him. But Oladipo hasn't had the greatest season. He's definitely regressed a lot since his good years with the Pacers. But I think he still has value on a good team. So Ryan, what teams do you see going after him, if any?
I think he'd be a good fit for the Heat. I think he would do well down there. That's where I see him going personally.
I think it might be a little tough because Oladipo, he's only shooting 32% from the three-point line this year. And the Heat, obviously, as we saw in the finals last year, they were pretty big with shooting. So, I don't know if I see him going to the Heat, but in my opinion, I could definitely see the Raptors maybe making a move there. They don't really have a superstar to kind of lead them. As we've seen, Siakam cannot lead that team. He's just not good enough. He can't create really his own shot. So I could see Oladipo going there, maybe adding a little star power to that team to maybe put them in contention. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm very excited for this NBA trade deadline, especially with the Sixers actually finally being like an actual finals contender this time. We'll see what kind of moves they can make. So next up, I want to talk about NFL franchise tags. This is usually, when teams can't really sign them to big contracts or, they're young players and they know they're going to get a lot of money, but maybe the team wants to tag them for, another year so they can delay it a little bit. But there's a lot of teams that have some big franchise tag decisions to make. And the first one I got is the Steelers. Obviously, as it is very well known, the Steelers cap situation is little tight. as they restructured Ben's contract, they might be able to sign a mid-level deal. I don't really see them making a big push for anybody. But the two guys that they got to decide between are Juju and Bud Dupree. I mean, Ryan, if you're the Steelers, which one are you choosing to tag?
I don't know. I mean, that's tough. I really like Dupree as a player. I think he's a really big help on our defense. I mean, I always talk about how underrated he is.
Yeah.
But honestly, I know Juju's really in the hot seat lately, but I think they should franchise tag Juju. I know that he isn't like a traditional wide receiver one, but he's kind of doing that grunt work that puts all our other fast receivers open, and like it doesn't get seen as well, I don't think, because he's not as flashy as like Antonio Brown was as a wide receiver one.
Right.
But I think the stuff that he does isn't something we're going to get out of a new player, or like we need somebody not veteran, but a little more into the game like Juju, like to do that for our younger receivers.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I know we talked about this a lot, just personally, but because when you think about it, Juju brings a lot of attention to the team. The Steelers usually always get that because people just hate us because of Big Ben and whatever. But with Bud Dupree out, TJ Watt, in my opinion, did not perform as well. And I feel like that's natural because, they really only had to focus on Watt when it came to the defensive line because Cam Hayward was kind of injured too. But then on the other hand, Juju, again, like you said, he's not a wide receiver one, but I think the way the Steelers works is that, they have good enough receivers around the board that we don't really need a defined great wide receiver one. Honestly, like Claypool's great, but it would be kind of scary having him be our best receiver, to be honest. So I think I'm going to agree with you. I think the Steelers should tag Juju. I know he's definitely interested in coming back. And I think they should give Ben more options because this is probably going to be Ben's last year. So I think they should, just give him all the options he needs. And our defense is good enough, I think, that we could kind of take in the loss of Dupree, and I don't think it would definitely take an effect, but it also give an opportunity to Alex Highsmith to kind of prove himself a little bit. So Steelers, franchise tag Juju, but we won't be mad if you tag Dupree. Either way, you really can't go wrong there. The next team I got is the Super Bowl reigning Tampa Bay Bucks. I think they probably have the biggest decision out of any team. It's kind of a similar situation as the Steelers. They got Chris Godwin and Shaquille Barrett. Now, Chris Godwin has obviously proved himself to be kind of Tom Brady's Edelman in a way, playing in the slot and everything. And Shaquille Barrett, during the Super Bowl, he was really abusing that Chiefs offensive line. And, he's kind of a really important part to their defense and kind of why they were able to, make it to the Super Bowl. So, Ryan, who do you see the Bucks tagging here?
If I were the Bucks, I would tag Barrett. Godwin obviously is an incredible receiver, but his playoff game wasn't that good. He didn't play that well in the playoffs this past season, I don't think, compared to his regular season.
Right.
And obviously the Bucks did fine. What really won the Bucks the games was their defense, and Barrett is obviously one of the top guys on that, making that push. So I think that defense is really more important to them than the offense is. Yeah. It's not like they don't have a receiving core after Godwin. They still have Antonio Brown, Mike Evans. It's still scary going out there.
You can't forget about Scotty Miller.
I forgot. The fastest guy in the NFL.
Yeah, the fastest guy in the NFL, according to him. But yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I think I think Barrett would be a bigger loss than Godwin, especially because Godwin was really banged up last year, and I don't know exactly, but he probably only played like half the season, and especially since Levante David is also a free agent, and if they lose both him and Barrett, that's going to be a huge problem for that team. And I don't think they would be able to go back to the Super Bowl if they lost both of them. So I agree. I think they should tag Barrett here. Although Chris Godwin is great and he made like a fifth of the money in a year that, to advertise a Super Bowl commercial, he's going to get big money from a team. And I don't know if the Bucks are willing to give it to him or not. I guess, I mean, it's probably really up to Brady, to be honest, at this point. Yeah, but we'll see what they do there. But this one is a little more interesting. We got the Bears. There's Allen Robinson or Mitchell Trubisky. Now, it might sound crazy me saying this, but I think they should tag Trubisky.
Why?
Look, it's because the Bears, they don't have the greatest draft pick this year. I don't even mid tier, if they even do have. I think they do have a first round pick. But like, I know they're making pushes for Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson. I mean, obviously, if they get one of those two, then tag Robinson. But I think Trubisky. I think he's still got a little in him.
Who's he gonna throw to without Robinson?
Darnell Mooney he's really come up.
Mooney.
Tariq Cohen's coming back.
No.
They got David Montgomery. There's other great wide receivers that are free agents, and T.Y. Hilton is one of them. If you put T.Y. Hilton on that Bears team, you don't T.Y. is a defined number one receiver. He's probably going to be cheaper than Allen Robinson because, again, I don't think he's as good as Allen Robinson.
You have a young quarterback and an old receiver. Where are you going to move after T.Y. dies?
Well, I mean, Trubisky's going to be gone by then. I mean, they're just tagging him for a year.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of like a 1 year thing. Because, I mean, as I love Nick Foles, beating the Patriots and everything, I don't think I just don't see him being the starting quarterback of this team. And I don't think they're going to be able to – I mean, I don't see Dak going to the Bears either. I don't see that happening.
They're going to give Khalil Mack and 2 first-round picks, and they're going to pick up Wilson, and him and Robinson are going to dominate.
They shouldn't give up Khalil Mack. They shouldn't give up Khalil Mack. That'd be so dumb of the Bears. He literally – oh, my God. He, changed their defense. He is the reason why they were a playoff team for the past, 5 years. So the Bears would be really dumb to do that. But, I mean, I still say tag Trubisky. I mean, if you sign some mid-level receivers and, I mean, I know Matt Nagy's not going to get fired, but they got to get someone in there calling better plays because that Bears offense was just brutal to watch last year. But I know it's kind of dumb to say, but I think they got to give Trubisky another chance.
I think if they sign Trubisky, it's going to put the coaches in too much of a hot seat. I think it would be detrimental to their career if they kept him.
I could see that too. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think Trubisky has got a little bit in him. And yeah, so we'll see what the Bears do there. Allen Robinson definitely is getting a lot of attention, being one of the better receivers, and that's another reason why they got to tag Trubisky is because Robinson's going to get a lot of attention from other teams, and they're going to have to contend with that kind of money. And, if they're going after a guy like Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, they're going to have to give them Mahomes kind of money, and they're just not going to be able to afford it. I mean, I guess then they would tag Robinson, but I don't know. So we'll see what the Bears do. But the last team we got is the Colts. This one might be a little easier with them getting Carson Wentz. But so they got 2 kind of big free agents, T.Y. Hilton and I guess I wouldn't consider him a big free agent, but Jacoby Brissett. I think he's an underrated. He has an underrated role in this team, and that's why I kind of put this on there. But Michael Pittman has really come up in his rookie year, and he did really well. And T.Y. didn't do as well this past year on the Colts. I don't know if it's just because he didn't have the chemistry with Philip Rivers that he wanted to have, or what it was, but. I mean, I think the Colts should probably tag Hilton, but I could see them also tagging Brissett because, I mean, Wentz isn't a guaranteed option at starting quarterback.
I would tag Brissett because I don't know if they can afford Hilton, and I don't think he's putting out the numbers that he's going to be wanted to pay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a good receiver, but like you said, he was really hit or miss last year. He wasn't putting out the numbers like he used to, and Carson Wentz isn't exactly like you said, he's not set in stone going to be great. And he also he's pretty injury prone. So
Oh
to
yeah.
have someone
Oh
like
yeah.
Brissett behind him that they can like,
Right.
okay, we have a decent quarterback for when Carson Wentz goes down, because he will naturally, as he
Yeah,
does.
because in that situation as the Colts, you don't rely on Jacob Eason.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I don't think he would, really be a good option for them.
Yeah.
To be honest. So and Brissett, like, he also was big in the red zone when it came to the 1 yard QB sneaks, which, to be honest, I don't know why they kind of did that, because they have so many good running backs, and especially with Jonathan Taylor just being a beast. I don't really know why they did that, but yeah, I mean, I think they should tag Ty. Just give him one more year, then set him free. Especially because after Ty, I mean, they got Pittman, and Zach Pascal is not terrible, but I don't think he's a number 2 receiver on a contending team. So yeah, we'll see. I'm really excited for NFL free agency and to see if Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson actually get traded. I think Watson's probably more likely than Wilson for
Watson
sure.
might kill himself if he doesn't.
Watson might just retire. He might join Luck. So we'll see. But we're gonna go back to the NBA now. We're gonna talk about the Jazz and if they're a real contender or not. They were currently, at the time that I wrote this down, they were 26-7 and first place in the Western Conference. They had won 22 of their past 25 games. They're 15-2 at home and have the best point differential in the NBA at 9.6 points. They for sure have been a surprise team in the West. But Ryan, do you think they can keep this up for the playoffs? Do you think they're actually a championship contender?
I think it's weird. I feel like this team can be both underrated and overrated. I mean, I see where you could come from with it. Maybe they can't be this hot all the time, but I also think they just have I like the way they don't. I mean, obviously they have a top player, they have a top 2 players, but I feel like they have so much depth that they aren't one star player and then a bunch of role players. I feel like they're all playing really well together.
Right.
And I think that's just a really strong way to play, because you can change things up and you don't get as tired as a star player kind of thing. You don't rely on one big guy to do everything. And I think that's something that doesn't happen as much anymore. And I think that's why they're doing so well and putting up so many points, because everyone's scoring so well.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And I kind of see them as kind of like the Heat team last year. Donovan Mitchell definitely, is obviously a star player, and I think he will be able to lead this team into maybe the second or third round, but I just don't see him contending with a healthy Laker and Clipper team, especially with they have the depth, and obviously every championship team needs the depth. But I think they're just relying on their 3-point shooting too much, to the fact where, if they're cold, they're cold. It's not going to be as bad or as tough, to beat them. So I think they need more scorers that can create their own shots. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell is one of those guys. And Jordan Clarkson has been pretty big off the bench. Again, I don't think he'll be able to keep that up, especially, when he plays against good teams. But they're definitely an unselfish team, and that's what you need to be a contender. So, and they're great defensively, so that's another plus for them. I could be wrong here, but I don't know if I see them there quite yet. Next year, I could definitely see them, kind of putting it together. But I don't know. I mean, Steve Kerr said in a post game interview after the Jazz beat them that the Jazz are in the same situation that they were 4 years ago, when they started their kind of dynasty. But I think I'm gonna have to disagree with him, because I mean, Curry was just. He's a superstar. I mean, the Jazz don't have a superstar. Donovan Mitchell is a great player, but I don't see him as a superstar. So I don't think they're at the Warriors level. So, I mean, we'll see what the Jazz are going to do, but I don't know if they go after a guy like Porzingis to try to kind of, push up to that level to kind of have, more. I mean, not saying that they don't need more scorers, but maybe more reliable scorers that aren't, based off of, hot and cold. And, Porzingis can be a defensive liability, but I think they can afford that, especially, with Gobert in the paint. So, I mean, we'll see what the Jazz can do. I don't know. It's honestly, I think it's going to depend on who's healthy for the Lakers and the Clippers.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what they can do there. Now, I'm sorry, Ryan, but a part of this, I know I'm a big baseball fan. So, and spring training's just started up. So we got to talk. I want to at least talk a little bit about baseball. So, like I said, I know no one's is as excited as me for the baseball season to start. And spring training is a great way for a team to see their prospects, kind of where they're at, what level they need to, be at develop or, what level they need to develop at. I know as a Phillies fan right now, we do not have the best farm system as we've done a pretty crappy job of drafting besides Alec Baum, who has been unbelievable. But, we haven't done the best with drafting the past couple years. So we don't have as many prospects to be excited about. But Ryan, what kind of prospects are you excited to see play? And honestly, what major leaguers are you excited to see play?
I think my biggest excitement coming up is I'm just excited to see Blake Snell.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see how
he pitched really well yesterday. Yeah, he looked dirty. He was nasty.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say the Padres. I mean, it seems like they have 7 great pitchers on that team.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one guy. Is there anybody else?
I don't know. I don't watch much baseball.
That's true. You don't
really
watch much baseball.
Just Snell and then whatever you put on.
Well, I know for me, I'm really excited to see Jared Clinic. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he's like one of the top prospects for the Mariners, and he's been tearing it up in the minor leagues. He actually, I think he hit like, I don't know if it was like, I don't know. It was like an insanely long home run the other day, but I think he needs to be on the Mariners. He needs to be there, even though he's actually last year he finished in Double-A, so he's still like kind of below, the standards for Major League, but I think he's just the most exciting player on that team, and you could argue he's better than over half the team. So he's one of the guys, I was really excited about. But, when it comes to major leaguers, I was really excited to see Vlad Guerrero play because he's in the best shape of his life. If he wasn't already big enough, he got even more fit and more strong. So I'm really excited to see him play, especially because, the Blue Jays were very aggressive this offseason, getting George Springer and a ton of other guys. So it's kind of cool to see how he's going to fall in that lineup and see how he does this year. But, another guy, me as a Phillies fan, I'm a little excited to see Scott Kingery play. He's got a lot to prove because he only hit like 160 last year. I mean, that's just you can't be a contending team and have a guy in your starting lineup hit 160. So, he definitely has a lot to prove. And, if he gets a starting job back, that could change a lot of things, in the Phillies starting lineup, depending on, where he plays. He'd probably play in center. But, and also like backing, kind of piggybacking off of the Phillies, I think Gene Segura is a guy to watch too. He has kind of underperformed since he's been on the Phillies, since we've kind of traded for him. So we'll see how he does because he kind of also needs to prove himself. Not as much as Kingery, obviously, because he didn't do as bad and he has the reputation. But, I think Segura needs to kind of prove himself to keep his job, to be honest. So we'll see how they do. But I think the last guy I'm kind of really excited to see is I don't know how to say his last name, so I'm just going to say Ohtani on the Angels. He's coming off Tommy John surgery, and I'm pretty sure he pitched 2 innings, and he gave up 7 runs, so he had like a 38 ERA, which is historically probably, one of the worst ERAs ever, and I know Angels fans obviously were not expecting that, when they signed him. But, at the plate, he's actually looking pretty good. He hit like a 450-foot bomb last night or, a couple days ago. But they don't really have any. The Angels haven't been putting any restrictions on him when it comes to pitch counts and games or whatever. So I'm really excited to see him thrive and to see what he can do with the Angels, because I mean the Angels are kind of like, they're a team that people expect to be a lot better than they actually are. With Anthony Rendon coming in, obviously they got Trout. Pujols is, he's just kind of there. He's not. I feel like he doesn't really have any expectations, but they kind of need Ohtani to be good, at the mound and at the plate. So, we'll see how they do this year. I think the Angels are probably, the Angels and the Padres are probably the two teams I'm most excited to watch. That's all we got today. Ryan, thanks again for being here. I know you guys probably can't see all of them, but I hope y'all like the new bobblehead setup. I know it's kind of pathetic because they're literally just on a giant wooden plank that Ryan found God knows where.
I think outside somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. He brings in shit every week. So, but thank you for tuning in to Next on Deck this week, and I'll try to be more consistent with uploads. We're coming up with round 2 of exam week, so we'll be both pretty busy, but we'll try our best to keep putting them out weekly. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.